What's happening, people? Back with another reaction, back with some more Madonna, and we're returning to her 1992 album Erotica. Luca is returning to the lap and or the chair. I guess we'll see where she ends up. But yes, the next tune is In This Life, a phrase that sounds like you're about to impart some wisdom. You know, in this life, you only get so many chances to do something. It feels like the beginning of a larger and, at least as the words hit me, profound phrase or profound bit of wisdom or insight. So it could just be a reflection, the idea of, well, in this life I've done this, I've done that, I've accomplished this, I failed to do that. It could be taking stock of oneself, but it feels like a more general point about life and maybe human life specifically. So let's see what I can pick up on a first listen. This is Madonna. The tune is In This Life, and it's from her 1992 album Erotica.
Sitting on a park bench,
The last song had a serious message too. This one is heavier and more personal, even though it's talking about humanity as a whole, dying patterns, the way that people who seemingly want nothing but to be themselves, to love who they want to, they end up passing away, maybe taking their own life. The younger man in question, like the friend she had, it seemed like maybe that was what was being suggested. But whether it's young or old, or someone who is killed by an accident or something that came out of nowhere, or whether it's something that a person's keeping from others and this deep pain they have that maybe they can't see a way out of, but they don't feel like they can reach out. It sounds like she's talking about the way in which people who don't deserve to die end up dying seemingly not only maybe too soon, but without a lot of fanfare, without a lot of people caring, and people would rather avert their eyes and think about something else and just, well, that'll pass. Like, it's not something I want to concern myself with. It's not a burden that I want to carry. And she's asking, why should that be the case? Why do the good die young, and people who maybe don't deserve and who are selfish and who are mean-spirited, why do they live on? And there's seemingly a randomness to it. It doesn't seem to make sense. So in some ways, it speaks to some of her songs that relate to religious themes, and maybe to some people's mind in a very challenging way, but in another, just an honest and question-asking manner. And then in other ways, it seems to relate to treating other people decently, which is what the previous song was about. Why is it so hard? Whether it's a different demographic group ethnically, or psychosexually, or culturally, why do we sort of find reasons to see people as the other, and why do we allow ourselves to be comfortable with the mistreatment of someone or the bad fortunes of someone just because they're not the same as us, whether that's, again, our origins or our way of thinking or our cultural group, etc. So, yeah, it feels like a very profound and painful song, and the idea of, when she gets to that spoken word part, which is nicely overlaid with still the sung vocals, where she's literally just saying, have you ever seen a friend of yours die? Have you ever seen a grown man cry? When will this change? How can this come to an end? I hope it's in this lifetime. I hope it's not something that people will ask hundreds of years from now, but perhaps if humans care collectively and individually, and I think that's kind of the point, that it's easy for one person to turn and think about something else, or not invest any emotion or care in someone who's hurting, or someone they don't know who they actually could be in a position to help, because that's what so many other people do. It's, well, I just want to focus on my life. I don't want to be worried about that. So it feels like it's asking the question individually, but also collectively, and the idea that individual humans changing their behavior could lead to the species overall treating each other better, caring about people who are maybe in the process of falling through the cracks and maybe in danger of passing away when they don't need to. It felt like a very profound and emotional song. So I don't know if I'm reading all that right, but it seemed that's where the majority of the themes were headed. Sonically, it sort of allowed those themes and her vocals to take center stage. Low key, mellow, down tempo, but very smooth and sonorous. It wasn't like dissonant in any way. It wasn't a jarring tune sonically that gave you this feeling of uncomfortability, but just this, a spirit, if you will, leaving someone's body, or a sad reality as she sits on a park bench and looks. And, that idea of sitting out in public and, this guy looks old and decrepit, maybe he's on the verge of dying, but no, it's actually this other person, and wondering, how these lots are drawn. Obviously, on a more naturalistic view, it relates to health, it relates to unforeseen consequences, it relates to accidental incidents and so on. But at the end of the day, if you're thinking about fate, about destiny, about teleological ends, then sitting and looking at a wide group of people and saying, which one of these people will end up dying? Who is carrying burdens that I can't see on the surface? The sonic arrangement, which was very, if not fully orchestral, certainly sort of like chamber music. We had woodwinds, we had strings. It felt less band sounding and more, again, orchestral or chamber music style. So I really enjoyed the sonic accompaniment, and it fit the solemn but also somber mood of the tune quite well. So a really cool one. That's a couple serious ones in a row. Don't let anyone tell you Madonna just makes, sexualized pop tracks, which I wanted to clarify. When I made that joke, or the pun possibility reference at the beginning of Why Is It So Hard, I didn't mean to suggest in any way that she doesn't go to more serious themes. I had already heard her do that multiple times, but this is 2 in a row that feel very heavy and significant in that regard. So, in any case, let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.